Good evening, I am Adventure Argonaut. I decided to do a surprise random ranty Sunday stream. I don't usually stream on Sundays, but since stuff has happened, and so I felt like it. Like I do a few different things. So first, I went to see a movie today. No Other Choice, a Korean movie, and it was actually like a thought provoking. It had some interesting themes, so I'm gonna do like a short review of that first, but like focusing on the themes themselves more than not gonna go into the filmography of whatever, focusing on the mise en scène and all that that stuff, more like the and not gonna delve into the story in detail, but I'm just checking my streams and stuff, so that's why I'm babbling. Okay, I think everything is working. So yeah, it's this movie. It came out, I guess, very recently, maybe a month ago or something. And No Other Choice. The Korean name is Ojol Suga Opta, and it's from Park Chan Wook, the director. He's made at least like a joint security area. I've seen that. That was pretty good. I don't know if I've seen these others, but whatever. So he's a famous director, but like the um, just a brief plot summary is that there's this family guy with a family. He has wife, son, and daughter, and he has the movie starts with him having a party, a birthday party for his wife and his family, and everything is nice and idyllic. And of course, it's obvious that well, something bad is gonna happen, and yeah, then it's revealed that he's actually lost his job, but he didn't tell his family that yet. And he works in the paper industry, which is that's a nice detail because you don't see so many movies about the paper industry. But anyway, he lost his job because the Americans, they bought his company and then they gonna downsize it for like 80% to 80% something. But yeah, he lost his job, and then of course it causes problems. And well, the unique idea about this movie, the twist, is that what he does afterwards, how he's gonna what he's gonna do to get a new job, or how to handle all the problems. And well, it here, like, I was worried, like, I don't want to give spoilers, but it says it's here on IMDb. So man devises a unique plan to secure a new job, eliminate his competition. So, and he does start to do exactly that, like literally. I don't know if everybody who reads that understands that it's meant quite literally in the movie. So yeah, I'm not gonna make any major spoilers, but there will be some spoilers, obviously. Um, so yeah, first of all, like, I think the movie was quite based and red pilled and had a very like a masculine message, which was nice. And because um, he like the at that point in the world that the movie represents, I don't know if it's really the same in the actual paper industry in South Korea. I have no idea about that, but at least in the movie, like, the competition is very hard and it's difficult for paper manufacturing experts to find a job. And he finds like, there's this one guy who has this job that I want. And then he thought like, okay, maybe I should kill that guy. But before he does that, then he realizes, wait, even if that guy dies, maybe somebody else will get the job instead of me. So before he kills the guy that whose job he wants, he looks at the other candidates who might be hired before him, and then he kills them. And of course, he's not a killer and stuff originally. He's a fairly modern, mild-mannered man who doesn't like doing stuff like that. So it's not easy, but he manages to do it. And I guess you could say that the movie has sort of a happy ending. Spoilers. But like, what makes the well? First of all, it's sort of funny. Like, it's a dark comedy, sort of, but still presented in a fairly serious manner most of the time. Um, but so like the couple of like themes that I liked in the movie is first that he's sort of he has to shed his modern man kind of programming to be like domesticated and not dangerous. Like there's this some quote from Jordan Peterson that a man has to be a monster who can commit horrendous acts, but he doesn't do it or something. Not a fan of Jordan Peterson, but that particular line sort of stuck with me, even though I don't remember the exact quote. So is that like seeing the guys, the protagonists' transformation, that sort of interesting how he becomes more like assertive and confident in the end of the movie when he's killed some people and stuff. And because that's traditionally how men used to be in any society before modernity, basically. Or and the other thing is that it's a very anti-globalization movie. Like, there is a sort of nationalistic message in the movie. Is that because the guy loses his job because Americans buy the company, and they say like, no, there's nothing we can do about it, even though he tries to complain about it, how it's bad to the fire people and all that. So, and that, since he's fired and he doesn't see any other like way for him to get a proper job for himself, so then he starts killing other men who are in the same business. And it like the movie makes it quite obvious that the guys that he kills, they're actually nice guys, and they would be friends under normal circumstances, because they share the passion to the paper industry, and they're nice guys. One of them has a family and all that stuff, and like him, but he still has to kill them because that's just how the whole scenario of modernity is set. And it's because of a foreign company for screwing it and forcing Korean men to fight each other to the death. So I like the message. It's like, it's fairly subtle, but like, yeah, that's, I don't know. I guess I think that's something that people should discuss more in society. Is that how we are forced to fight each other, and of course, like competition between people within the same nation and society is good, but there's a difference between healthy competition and actually trying to kill each other. Like, of course, in real life, maybe it's not so common in normal manufacturing industries to kill people, but this is it is a movie. It's making a statement in a like a, even though showing it a bit in an overboard kind of manner. But yeah, so that's why these two things is why I sort of like the movie, and why I would recommend it. And also because it's genuinely a thought-provoking movie, and that's rare in today's world. It's not like masterpiece. There certainly are some, like the beginning is a bit slow in how the story starts and all that, but it's worth watching. But I guess I don't have anything else to say about the movie, so there is no other choice, is the English name of the movie. And then I'm gonna go to news. This is sort of like Golden News Tuesday, Newsday. So there's this quote from Candice Owens that I did read a couple of weeks ago on Golden News. She said, they have been signaling that a 9/11 style attack is coming the second week of December. And save this tweet, it will age well. And apparently she was right. Like, I had my doubts, certainly. And like I did remember this like this morning, and I did think about it. Like, yeah, she was probably wrong, but I guess she wasn't, because now there's some shooting in Brown University in the United States, but I don't know if there's. I don't know much about that yet, but there's Bondi Beach in Australia. So it's some kind of Jewish community or something was attacked, and a human rights lawyer, Arsen Ostrovsky, shared a photo of himself after being shot at Bondi Beach in Sydney. He survived. So this guy, he was being shot, and he's supposedly all bloody, and he takes a selfie of himself. It's a bit sus. Let's just put it like that. Man who survived the October 7 terror attack is among those injured in Sydney, according to Nine News. We came here only 2 weeks ago to work with the Jewish community to fight anti Semitism. I never thought I would see this in Australia. Yeah, the coincidence level is quite high. I'm just going to say that. And here it says the Bondi Beach shooter Navid Akram was Googled in Tel Aviv on December 13th, one day before the actual shooting. Why? Source in comments. So here is, I guess, Google Trends. So yeah, so the Bondi Beach shooter name spiked on Google Trends hours before attack. Found the spike in both Australian and Israeli Google. That's interesting. So what was the name? Navid Akram. Wait, did he leave his passport or ID card there, or I guess he was arrested? Navid Akram. So I guess that's, I don't know all the details of this. Still fairly a new event, and I'm not gonna try to go all deep into it. It's more like I think this, Candice Owens really, she seemed to know something, and of course, people have pointed out that first of all, it didn't happen in the United States, which is unlike 9/11, and also the scale of the damage is doesn't seem to be anywhere near 9/11. That is certainly true, but Owens here didn't clarify what she meant by 9/11 style attack. And you could say that, the just who benefits from this? Like, do any Islamic organizations or Iran benefit from this? Like, I don't think so. I think it's somebody else who's gonna, try to gain sympathy from this. And here this guy says, don't know if this information is correct, but Navid Akram is an IDF soldier that served in Gaza and returned to Australia. Today he lost his mind and killed 12 Jews. So yeah, if indeed he is an IDF soldier, it's a bit sus. Why would he do that? And Iran is behind the attack in Australia. Israeli security source to Israel media. So yeah, personally, I don't believe it's gonna be Iran. I don't think it's gonna be actual Islamists behind this one. Um, it's usually, projection, these accusations, but and another thing, like, because Candice Owens had said this, that um, the attack is coming on the second week of December. So today is the last day. Well, now it's already past midnight here in Hong Kong, but of course it happened on the 14th. So that's, one week is 7 days, right? So 14th, that's the second last day of the second week, and it's a Sunday, because I've seen some people claim, I'm not going to name names here, but that it's the third week because it's a Sunday, and I guess they're arguing that the third week starts on a Sunday, and I guess according to some people, I don't know if it's like some Anglo thing or something, but at least the way I've always thought of it is that Monday starts the week, and for practical purposes, whatever, like, maybe some legislation in some countries, like, Australia even might say that it's officially Sunday starts the week, but whatever, for practical circumstances, she's at least she fulfilled that condition that it's the second week. This event, whether or not Candice Owens was referring to the Bondi Beach event, it did happen on the second week. I don't think there's any like you cannot argue that in good faith, really, that she's incorrect about that. She might be correct about other details here, but and I did see somebody, like, I don't know what sort of weapon the shooter used, but like Australia is very has heavy gun control, and some people pointed out that normal people can't get their hands on such weapons because there was some shooting incident, was it in the 90s, and then pushed for gun control and problem reaction solution and all that stuff, but now it's very difficult to get weapons. So how did this Akram get the weapon if he's the shooter? So yeah, but it's I do think whatever Candice Owens seems to she came through that this tweet it did indeed age well, in my opinion. It would seem like she knew what she was talking about. I don't know who her sources are, but she was correct. But anyway, let's move to the last story, and we go to Finland. I don't usually talk a lot about Finland, but there's this quite stupid drama controversy over Finland. Like, especially like I'm just talking about, stuff about people being shot and stuff. And now we go to like, people getting offended because there's this like Miss Finland woman. She was in a restaurant with her friend, and I don't know if she was in a Chinese restaurant or something. And then she, stretched her eyes, and then her friend tweeted the picture or posted it on social media, eating with a Chinese friend or something, and that's a huge controversy. And she had to like, her title of being a beauty queen was taken from her, and of course, some people are getting triggered, and it's like because if something like this were to happen like in the 90s, when people still at least pretended to be somewhat sane and have like a sense of proportion of what is like important in society, like maybe somebody would have pointed out that okay, that can be insensitive and maybe you shouldn't do it, and maybe it's just like, oh yeah, I wasn't thinking. But of course back then everybody didn't have cameras everywhere, didn't have social media. But now it's like somebody does something that can be deemed offensive, and then there's lots of people who uh, like it's their hobby or their job or their literal job to get offended by it, and then they get offended by it. And also not only her, and then there's actually some Finnish politicians who like took pictures of themselves doing the same gesture because they support her freedom of expression. And I'm actually impressed because I don't hold Finnish politicians in great esteem, but at least they're doing something like actually protecting freedom of expression. Like you're free to think she's insensitive or something, but it's like it's not like she was actually targeting. She didn't say do that and say fuck Japan or fuck China or anything like that. There's a difference. But like these NPCs who get triggered over it, they don't understand. They just see but somebody did the forbidden act or said the naughty word, and they don't understand context or intent or any of that, because she was it was a young woman doing silly things with her friend in a restaurant or something, and that's no longer okay. And I think it said in this article something that she even had to like apologize in Chinese. So you see John Cena. Uh, I'm not quite sure. Like I didn't read the whole article. I really didn't. I just wanted her picture because I didn't know how she looked like. I assume this is her. But yeah, so this is And I see, like, especially I see so many people on Twitter with the Japanese flag whining about this. It's like, well, I guess it's also in news in Japan, but it's like that actually triggers me, that people find the energy to get offended over this. But, like, let's say Japanese people, why they, I don't know if they're actually Japanese or if they're LARPing as Japanese, but, like, if I was Japanese, I would be more worried about, like, Kurds and mass immigration, people like that trying to take over my country, instead of, some young Finnish woman. And oh yeah, her name is not Finnish, it's some very weird. Yeah, it's Zawsze. So I don't know if she's Polish or what, like her ancestry, but, like, this name is not Finnish at all, and I don't even know how to pronounce it. But anyway, so yeah, Japanese people complaining about this, and oh no, my racism is like, okay, like, a lot of, like, people get triggered over this, but they don't get triggered about, like, the Finnish government basically supporting Israel's genocide in Palestine, or white genocide in Europe, and mass replacement and all that stuff. Those are fine. Or, like, how Finland just joined NATO or EU, that are responsible for the Ukraine war. Like, certainly Russia is partially responsible, but the main parties responsible are, EU and NATO, and I guess United States by extension, and of course Israel is not far behind in that, but that's another story. It's like, there are actual, like, real problems. So, like, all these Epstein client pedophiles in our government, people don't get offended over that. No, they get offended about that, a young woman doing something silly with her friend. Like, there's, like, if she'd said, like, she did a gesture, and then she said, like, fuck Japan, then it's, yeah, like, yeah, I guess it would offend me too, because I like Japan, but I don't like these Japanese flags on Twitter whining about Finland, and not, like, without knowing anything about the story. I presume they've just seen the pictures and, oh my god, my racisms. It's like, no, it's like, never apologize for stuff like that. Like, it's so minor. Like, my son is half Asian, and one of the concerns I have about his future is not that, some guy might stretch their eyes when looking at him. That's not, like, something I'm more worried about, like, so he doesn't get stabbed by diversity, or LGBT people don't try to cut off his balls or anything like that. Like, those are more pressing concerns than a simple gesture. Like, these people have no, like, sense of proportion or anything. It's like, no, just one, like, let's assume that somebody tweets just a tweet saying "fuck John," and then we don't know what he means by this. Does it mean, like, some particular John? Like, is John some guy at his school or work, or is John a character in a movie, or something? But then, without knowing it, let's say, but everybody who is John and sees is like, oh my god, that's an insult towards me, and then gets triggered over it. And then, other people are like, well, my name is I'm not John, but my friend's name is John, so I'm gonna get triggered too. It's like, how about, I don't know, finding out what's going on, like, instead of, because her the beauty queen's intent was not to offend anybody. And it's like, and also, what offends me is that, it's we are supposed to have a checklist of things that we get offended about, because there are many things that offend me, but I understand most people don't care about them. Like, the some game remakes offend me, like the the Final Fantasy remake and Silent Hill 2 remake, because I'm not the biggest fan of I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy 7, but not the biggest fan of Silent Hill 2. But I like the game back in the day when it came out, and I don't think they needed a remake. Or I'm offended by those people on like Twitter, like some sort of news accounts that say that, let's say seven people were killed in an accident, and then they censor the word "killed" with replacing "I" with an asterisk or something. It's like they're censoring themselves like that. Like most people don't seem to mind. I think I've seen one or two complain about it, but it does offend me. So it's like it's very should be personal what offends you and what doesn't. But now it's like, there's professional offendees, and that offends me because they're clearly people with no mind of their own. But anyway, then there's this really long comment. I'll try to translate it, maybe cutting some corners. So this is a politician from Perussuomalaiset, which is the True Finns or Finns party. Never heard of this guy before, but like his comment was quite well put, I think. So the Miss Finland beauty queen stretches her eyes, or like stretches and slants her eyes, and the friend shares it on social media saying, "Eating friend with a Chinese person." I'm eating food, not friends with Chinese person. And what happens next? Racism scandal, huge anger, apologies, and she loses her crown and her career is ruined. I'm gonna ask seriously. Does anybody think this is, proportional? My son, I think he woke up and stuff. So I think I have to go. Like my wife is there, but I think I should go see why he's crying quite hard. So maybe I'll have to read this on my Golden News stream then, because no, okay. So now I think he calmed down. Okay, then I can continue, because this is supposed to be a shorter stream anyways. But so yeah, is like, does anybody think this is a proportional consequence? Oh yeah, that's something I wanted to talk about. Like, exactly, like, originally, if somebody she does that, I do think that people have the right to find it offensive. But like, yeah, the proportions are important. Like, let's say that, it's impolite, it's rude to fart at the dinner table. But I don't think if you fart at the dinner table, somebody has the right to shoot you in the head. But this is sort of what it happens nowadays if you're deemed to be quote unquote racist. So, so anyway, this guy Joachim Vigelius says, so I don't think it's, well proportioned. I think it's sick. Is very humorless and uptight and merciless. And I'm not just talking about the beauty queen stuff, but like all of these persecution campaigns and moral, I don't know, rebel rousing, and the current media environment and the social media culture, and being a moral guardian is merciless. Don't make mistakes, don't be yourself, don't talk freely, don't make jokes, don't even make gestures that are disrespectful, don't even accidentally offend anyone, and and don't think, and certainly you shouldn't verbalize it out loud what you think. Otherwise, we were gonna, insult you, tear you apart, kick you, trample you into the ground without mercy. So it's merciless. That there's no room for understanding or forgiveness, racism, and other kind of alleged sin, like the intention does not matter in those cases. There's no sense of humor. It's been killed and buried next to humanity. Everything you say and do and joke and your mistakes and your occasional thoughtlessness, they are your deepest presence or your part of your deepest essence, and always in the worst imaginable way, or like the according to the worst interpretation. So you cannot stretch your eyes when you're with your friends without being a xenophobe. You can't play with the Africa Star. Well, that's basically a Finnish board game about looking for jewels in colonial Africa. It's a really old classic Finnish board game. Anyways, so yeah, that's not, of course nowadays it's imperialist and colonialist and stuff, so it's bad according to some people. You cannot make benign jokes about your wife without being woman hater. You cannot wonder about teaching people about male periods without being a hater of trans people. You cannot braid your hair without being like a white supremacist cultural. What's the what's the word? When you try to take over others' culture, that word, it's a simple word, but it just doesn't come to my head. Translation is hard. So you cannot play with cultural differences without being, hating foreigners. You cannot be proud of your denim genes or your, genetic genes, uh, without being a little bit of a neo-Nazi. You cannot make mistakes without being the mistake itself. So it also always forces you to apologize even when there's no need to do it, but nobody's gonna forgive you. Even if the apology is from your self reflection or because of the inhumane media pressure, it's not enough. Apology has to be always done on our terms. We will assess and rate and review harshly that, I guess, the apology. So is your apology genuine and righteous? And does it pass the test of the um, media consultant? And your micro expressions, does it pass muster? And behold, how the Miss Finland, who is gonna step away, Sarah Jarvche, whatever her name is, her apology. See how her apology has been received on Instagram. The experts on empathy are displaying their great empathy. So there's a group of like people verbally beating in their stories and diatribe about their emotional levels and how it's important to teach men about it. Okay, I'm not quite sure what he means there. I'm not myself the greatest emotional master. I don't know, like some skilled with emotions. Maybe that's best way of saying. Better way of saying. I'm not the most positive or you know, well, like optimistic or something, or the most, with the most genuine smile, or like with the on social media. In the middle of all this cultural warring and like tongue-in-cheek witticisms, in middle of that, I still try to remind myself of mercy, and to be do it in proportion, and attempt to understand others even if they make mistakes. So even though I try to understand the brawler, let's call it brawlers, like brawls and brawlers, I don't understand this mercilessness, like fist in the head if you make a mistake, and knuckles, uh, couple of knuckle combos if you apologize. Who wants to honestly live in an environment like this hypersensitive culture of being offended? It makes people be on their toes and careful and merciless against each other. This is not emotionally skillful, or is very not very pro sanity, but it's gonna make both of them worse. So good luck to you all who have been pushing for this kind of uptight, humorless, and merciless world. Enjoy the ride. When you accidentally step on a branch and there's gonna be a social media fake scandal who to end your career. So maybe next time it's gonna be you or somebody close to you, and if you justify your like not proportioned anger towards the beauty queen, that making faces in some in non-important social media picture was insulting. I wish you strength, like greatly. You need strength, I guess, greatly, and then you should breathe for a minute and get over it. So that, if anything, is, I don't know, emotions skilled. I don't know how to translate because it's some neological word, neo word. So yeah, towards yourself and others. Yeah, and there's like Japanese, like was there like a Japanese so community note here, because this is in Finnish. I don't know. And somebody said like, "Oh, you should be ashamed." And see, there's some Chinese guy. Finnish racist pigs look like. See, if Chinese people do this, I have no fucking sympathy for people like this. Like, does he even know what's going on here? Like, because I think these people, like, they just see somebody being weak. Like, oh no, Finland has racism scandal, and then they attack without knowing or caring about the details, because it's like it gives them, so some degree of social dominance and stuff, to kick somebody when they're down. So it's like, fuck you guys like this. Like, if I would see a guy like that, I'd do the gesture myself. Like, fuck them. Like, because in Europe it used to be that freedom of expression and freedom of speech was important, like valued. Not anymore. And but I get, not in China, not really even in Japan, but in Europe. And that's I think that's a good thing. Alas, it's not really the case anymore, but it used to be the case. And it's like, this is freedom of expression, and these are like, fuck you, Chin Wuhua. Fuck you, fuck all of you people like this. Like, if I didn't want to avoid face doxing myself, I would fucking post a picture of myself doing the same gesture. Like I fucking live in Asia, but I would still do it because it's like I said earlier, that we have bigger problems. We have shootings and stuff. Maybe we should figure out why this happen. Whatever whether you think it's a false flag or you think it's just those damn Muslims or racist right wingers or whatever. But it's like instead of being reactionary NPCs, like people like these, they're truly NPCs. They see the trigger, like somebody used a bad word, somebody used a bad gesture, and it doesn't matter to them, like because they get the moment justification to act morally superior and attack somebody because these are really small people with no actual understanding of anything really. They just, yeah, like, come on, it's a young woman doing silly stuff with herself. Like, yeah, in a normal society you're allowed to think that it's stupid, that maybe shouldn't do that or something. But it's like, if the alternatives are that she's going to do it, or everybody has to apologize for whatever, like, yeah, I side with her. And this Joaquin Vigelius, this guy, I think is well written stuff. I see translation, not gonna read it in English, but it's like, don't know if it's better or worse than my off the cuff translation. But I don't know, nothing else to say really for this stream though. But like, yeah, no other choice. It's a decent movie, and I'm really getting tired of this, like, very simplistic way of looking at it. Like, sort of like an AI, like, you feed a string of text to an AI. It's like, let's say there's like a, one page full of text, but it looks for certain trigger words, and the first trigger word it finds is how you react. And whether it's like Candice Owens for this comment about the attacks that possibly happened. They just people trying to find any kind of excuse to attack her because they don't like what she's been saying. Not only this, but about Erica Kirk and Charlie Kirk and all that stuff. And I'm not saying I buy everything she's selling, but she's certainly saying, like, she's more correct than most other people. And then it's like, this is, I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm Adventure Argonaut. I thank you for watching. Bye bye.